Hey everyone, good evening across Central Oregon. On this Wednesday, it has been cold. We've had more fog and it's lifted up a little bit, but we haven't seen too much in the way of clearing, so really hindering any warming trend. I'm Darrell Winninger, Chief Meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and we are about to do a deep dive into your most reliable forecast, looking at what's been happening, why it's happening, when it changes, and what these changes mean for our weather pattern across Central Oregon. So, starting off, we're just looking across the high desert. We are socked in several locations, including Bend. That Oregon Hazards Lab really showing that. Now, above the inversion, we actually have mostly clear to partly cloudy sky conditions, and out at Lake Billy, Chinook, and Prineville Reservoir, a whole lot of cloud cover. But from Hoodoo at the top of Ed, looking out to the northwest, you can actually see that fog building into the Cascades. And from Outback, from Bachelor, overlooking Outback, the Outback lift line, we have mostly clear conditions. Now, a few more cameras across Central Oregon are also painting this same picture of fog across the high desert, and you can see it from the Bachelor camera overlooking Tumalo Mountain and Bend. That fog just draped across Central Oregon, and low-level cloud cover in this imagery. And for some of us, it's clouds. For others, that fog is really still impacting us quite a bit. In fact, Hinkle Butte, you can see that fog lifted up a little bit, so we have low-level cloud cover. Powell Butte, the camera's over the fog. Same with Pine Mountain and Klein Butte, you just cannot see much at all. And when we go ahead and look at visible satellite imagery, we can see that this fog has just been persistent. It's been stubborn all day long. Going forward, we are looking at some changes, but with fog across Central Oregon and temperatures in the 20s, with a few 30s and even 41 degrees in Paulina, this definitely is freezing fog, and some slick roads are expected. So just looking at road conditions right now, we can see that low visibility from Bend to Lava Butte, including Madras and Sisters. Lapine, you can actually see the sunset off in the distance. Well, not the sunset, but the sky as the sun is setting. Now, Prineville, we've been getting some fog into parts of the area, but it looks like it's lifted up just a little bit for right now. That is not going to last. Now, when we look into the highest elevations, St. Anne Pass, foggy. Century Drive on the way up to Bachelor, above the inversion, you can actually see just some clouds off in the distance in a couple of those cameras. And when it comes to the snow report, we actually haven't had any new snow at all in quite a while. We are sitting at 28 inches as the snow depth in at Bachelor, and 18 inches at Hoodoo. So only a foot and a half at Hoodoo, and just over 3 feet at both Meadows and Timberline. Now, as we go forward through tonight, no new snow is expected. Temperatures tomorrow topping out in the 30s with some 40s on the map. So not as pleasant at elevation, but still above freezing. Still looking at sunshine at that elevation, so more melting is expected. Now, when it comes to weather alerts, the only fog-related ones we have are on the other side of the Cascades, from south of Eugene down to just past Medford, along and west of the I-5 corridor. For Central Oregon, we have an air quality alert, and there have been some parts of the Tri-County area that have been under this air stagnation advisory, but basically because of the subsidence from a ridge of high pressure, the periods of reduced to poor air quality are expected on top of the fog that we're getting. So right now, we mostly have good to moderate air quality with both the DEQ hourly average and the E-Space sensors, except for Lapine. That's where it is unhealthy for sensitive groups. And looking down just a little bit more, if you're down in Gilchrist, Crescent, it's still moderate air quality. Now, satellite and radar shows a couple of things. First, with satellite, you can see that fog is actually spreading out a little bit more, and on top of the fog, there are some in and out clouds, just no precipitation at all. And enhanced infrared satellite imagery shows much the same. Really nothing that's going to drive a big shift in our weather pattern until this system out over the Pacific Ocean catches up with us, and that happens by tomorrow. Currently, there is a whole lot of moist air overhead, but when we look a little bit closer at water vapor imagery, right over Central Oregon, there's a slot of dry air. This is also a slot of warm air. Warm, dry air over a little bit of moisture in cold air. Yeah, we got an inversion, all right. Now, your forecast model shows that through the rest of this evening and tonight, this fog spreads back out. We're looking at periods of not just reduced, but very low visibility. And this is freezing fog, so that means some flurries, some freezing drizzle expected, and some slick roads. This continues into Thursday morning, but just like the last couple of days, the specific forecast model has that fog lifting up and dissipating. It also has more clouds rolling in. This is our next system moving in. Now, this next system is not going to bring much in the way of precipitation chances at all. Well, maybe a few sprinkles or flurries in the highest elevations. but it could stir things up enough to help clear out this fog. Now, this forecast model shows a fog clearing out, although it's been showing that the last couple days, and that hasn't really happened. I think the kicker, the changing factor here, could be this weak front that's bringing more clouds and a low chance of precipitation, could stir up that fog. Now through Friday, some AM fog expected again, but it's going to be more patchy and not as widespread or as dense. That's going to be some radiation fog on the back side of that cold front. And then going forward through Friday, more sunshine closer to the end of the work week, but it's still going to be pretty cold. In fact, getting even colder. Now, when it comes to relative humidity, we're sitting in the 80s and 90s percentage-wise, and that is indicative of widespread fog. Warm Springs not as bad, but remember, Warm Springs, you have a lot of elevation change in that little bit of an area, and so for some of us, there is still fog out there. Meanwhile, our high temperatures in the last 24 hours, mostly in the 20s, with a few 30s and a couple of 40s out there. So it has just been cold. It is still cold. Several teens are expected tonight with a few single digits. But as of right now, we're mostly freezing, just not quite everybody, save Lapine and Paulina. That actually puts us between 5 degrees warmer and 1 degree cooler than 24 hours ago. And your forecast model shows it's really going to be more focused around this fog until that system rolls through. So through tonight, that fog, it settles, cloud cover settles, becomes freezing fog again. By tomorrow, we have that weak cold front rolling through. Not much in the way of precipitation. There's a chance for a few sprinkles and flurries, but the biggest change up is going to be that really mixes up the lower atmosphere, and that helps to clear out some of the fog. By Friday, more sunshine. By Saturday, more sunshine. By Sunday, more sunshine. No precipitation still in sight, and we are looking at the potential of a warming trend as we go through this weekend. But between now and Saturday at 11 p.m., not much happening, just a little bit there, and that's going to be as that weak front pushes through. And then looking way past that, by next Tuesday, we start to see the impacts of another system, and that next system could bring some showers. But when it comes to winds, we are at a gentle breeze. Those gusts, not even that impressive at all. In fact, as we've gone through the day, it's mostly been a light breeze, picking up a little bit during the afternoon. The next couple of days, still a gentle breeze. By Friday, breezy at times. Hey, that's a change up, and that's on the backside of that cold front that's going to help stir things up for us. So for tonight, more freezing fog, a lot of low-level cloud cover, teens, a few single digits and 20s out there. Thursday, 30s with some 20s and some 40s out there, and that fog lifts up, doesn't quite break apart until after that front pushes through. We could still be looking at a little bit of fog Thursday night going into Friday. Then more sunshine, a gradual warming trend bringing us to either side of 50 degrees as we're getting to the second half of this planner. That's also when we're turning our attention to this next system rolling in. So our weather headlines include freezing fog continuing with some flurries, some slick roads. Now periods of clearing are expected. It will be cold with a weak cold front rolling through on Thursday. That's the one that can stir some things up for us. And as of right now, whole lot of fog spread out, or low-level cloud cover for some of us, not fog for everybody, but that is spread out across most of central Oregon. No precipitation in sight, and only a little bit of cloud cover above that fog, and it's like that through most of the Pacific Northwest. That is the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.